And we are live. Once again, the Media Maestro Boys are back. Welcome to episode 9. We thank you for joining us. I'm one half of your team, Ram, with the one and only Ray. Ray, my guy, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. There's a little bit, going on these past couple of weeks, dealing with moving and whatnot. But
Busy.
you know, um, one thing in particular that I was excited about that happened a little bit ago was finally getting to something in the water, that music
Yeah, man.
festival.
We've been out.
So yeah, yeah, it was good to see you there,
Yes, sir.
and I'm definitely ready for us to recap everything we thought was particularly special about it.
Yes, sir, man. That was very nice. The weather, something was in the water. There was water,
On
rain.
us. Yeah.
Rain on us, to put it lightly. But it was still a good weekend, man. Great to see you. Great to catch up for a little bit. And we're great to have you all joining us back for another episode of Media Maestros. Right? I mean, kick things off. What were your thoughts from the 2 days we got of something in the water?
Yeah, I was definitely like really excited to see um some of my favorite artists, A lot of people were complaining about the lineup, but me
Mhm.
personally, I knew pretty much like almost all of the artists just because that's my thing.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of people to choose from having the two stages.
Hmm.
Sometimes you had to pick and choose who you wanted to see. But we did get, basically like what, 1.5 days
Yeah.
of the actual festival.
Wait.
Friday. Oh, go ahead.
Just saying I'm waiting for that refund for day 3. Hit my
Yeah.
line, hit my account, please. Waiting on
Same
that.
here. Same here.
Well, we got a good 1.5 days. I mean, Friday kicked things off pretty exciting. What stood out to you from Friday?
So, one of the first people that I saw perform, and the person that probably I enjoyed the most, even though the set was pretty short, was Wale.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, Wale has, a myriad of hits.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of bangers, but also just like some really um, you know, over the past couple decades, really, since like the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
He's been killing it. So he was able to showcase some of that in that short amount of time that he had. I was able to, basically rap and sing along to everything because
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of what he's done. So that was a great moment for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. The thing about Wale, I think one thing about his performance specifically is he brought just a huge level of stardom to the stage that I think was somewhat unexpected for someone that most people would overlook or most people kind of view as a middle of the pack artist. I think he brought a huge offering to the stage. And I mean, the fans wanted more and more and more and more.
yeah, absolutely.
It seemed like he got limited to a short amount of time, but that's what comes with these festival stages. So we couldn't be too surprised. I think he still blew us away in the little bit of time he had.
Yeah, he ended up being one of my favorites out of the pool of artists that I was able to see. Um, so in addition to that, I stayed a little bit for Kalani, but I
Okay.
wasn't I wasn't really feeling, the song choice.
Really? What were your thoughts? I personally am not the biggest Kalani fan. This was actually my first time hearing pretty much every song she performed.
Oh wow, okay.
And I
It's funny you say that actually, because the first few songs aren't like she didn't play any of the big songs while I was there.
really
So
okay.
I think she stuck to maybe the album cuts from her last
Yeah.
album. None of those songs were recognizable to me, so I was just kind of bored. Maybe the diehard Kalani fans were enjoying it, but that's just my opinion. That's something you do for your own concert, not a festival. The festival you play the hits.
I think that's fair, but one thing I will say about Kalani that I think most other artists can't say is that she similar to Wale, but from a different perspective. She has a stage presence. I mean, unlike any
Oh
other.
yeah,
It was almost majestic. I found myself like
mm.
drawn in, like, whoa.
Like a siren.
She's
No, I
like
agree.
and maybe that's a little offensive. I don't want to sound I don't
Oh.
step on any toes. It may be. But that her performance was special. It was special to say the least.
Yeah, but I eventually ended up going to the next stage,
Okay.
and then we had for me, I think the next one that I remember for sure was Kenny Beats, who had an infamous 10-minute set. So he only had 10 minutes to do his thing. There was actually like a countdown behind him, which I thought was kind of funny. But basically, what happened, from what I understand, is that Skrillex had like he went on for a long time. He had like a huge set, and yeah,
And
Kenny Beats,
Skrillex was after Kenny Beats, right?
yeah, and Skrillex, like I think he kind of like fought for Kenny Beats and gave him like a little bit of time because at the end he was like, "Thank you, Skrillex, for letting me, have my time, whatever." So
Wow.
I thought that was dope. But yeah, that Skrillex performance is another one of my favorites because
Now,
that was a
now,
party.
now, I think most of our viewers and listeners might be surprised, but I myself am a Skrillex fan.
Really,
Back in about 2014, 15, when he dropped the I Need You with Justin Bieber remix. I
that was a
loved
big
that.
one.
How was his performance? I missed that one. How was it?
It was wild. I mean, it felt like you were at one of those like EDM shows that you
Yeah.
see videos of. He had the pyrotechnics, he
Yeah.
had the visuals. You could feel the bass of every song in your chest. The audio was crazy. It was just a really, excuse me. It was just a really fun time. It was like I said, it was a party. It was crazy. Everyone was going crazy over there. I was kind of like in the pit. I
Yeah.
made made
You're
my
throwing
way up
bows?
there. That was fun. That was fun.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, I would be remiss before we head off of Friday. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge and act that I hopped on the shuttle, got off the shuttle, and literally sprinted down the boardwalk to catch the one
Mm,
and only Jasmine Sullivan.
mm.
She knocked it out the park. She is one of the best voices, one of the best vocalists in music today. I think that's undeniable. And I hope she gets all the flowers she deserved. She crushed it. She is just, and she did some hits from her most recent album, all the way
Okay.
back from, the songs that really blew her up into the mainstream. I
Yeah,
loved it.
I was able to catch a bit of that, and it was good. It was really good.
Really well done. Salute to her. Nothing but respect.
Did you catch any of the Kid Cudi set?
I didn't. I was on a curfew for the first
Okay.
night, so I missed the Kid Cudi set. How was that? I heard some mixed reviews, but I think most people loved it. What'd you think?
Really? So I also had to leave pretty early to get to the shuttles. So I wasn't able to get the full experience. I don't know what it was that people loved about it. It must have been after I left.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It was kind of like the Kalani one. Like it was just he was not playing the joints. And when I come to a festival and you have all these different artists, like I respect it, but you can't get into like the deep album cuts. Me personally, I want to hear the stuff that I know that I could rap to and sing to and dance to. And the first couple songs, the first few songs he played were not that. So yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna transition into some I know we're gonna talk about a little later, but when I think about Kid Cudi, maybe this is a reach. I don't know if he has many, big hits. He not enough to headline or close out a festival on the first day. I mean, he has maybe five that I think are renowned as, whoa, that's a big song. We all love this song.
Mm.
Apart from that, am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know.
So what I would say is even if they aren't necessarily like the biggest of hits, there's probably 20 Kid Cudi songs that I could see him performing where, Kid Cudi fans, like all the Kid Cudi fans would know, and then some other people would know, especially from Man on the Moon 1 and 2. Like if you go back and look at those albums, there are a bunch of tracks that you might not have even like you might have forgot about, but there are a lot of joints on those two albums in particular, and he could have played any of those joints and he didn't. So
Wow.
I think he does have like he has a 20.
Wow. He has a 20.
He has a 20.
That's not what I expected from episode 9, the Media Maestros. But I
I think he
respect it.
does.
I cannot claim fandom over Kid Cudi, but I respect it. I know he was chosen for a reason, and most of the sentiment I saw were people that supported it and people that enjoyed it. So more power to them.
That's good. I do remember. I do remember when he headlined something like either I think last year, a couple years ago, and the crowd was not feeling it. They were like throwing stuff on the stage. He was like, "If you throw something else, I'm leaving." And this something flew right there. Something flew right by his head, and he was like, "I'm out of here."
So
So
what happened exactly is that Kanye West was scheduled to be the headliner of Rolling Loud.
that's right.
And right around that time, Kanye decided to go, I'm gonna leave what he did to be filled in.
Hmm.
But as a result, he got pulled from the headline. And since he was in the middle of a beef with Kid Cudi, they switched out the two. So
Hmm.
understandably, or rather to be expected, the Kanye fans that bought those tickets decided to lash out against Kid Cudi. And that's what led to the throne and whatnot.
Right, right. That does make sense. So there wasn't going to be any of that as something in the water.
Which I'm glad.
Not as
I'm
much
glad.
vitriol.
I'm glad. I'm glad. But I mean, speaking of the rest of something in the water, what were your thoughts on Saturday? Any particular standout performances?
Saturday was cool. One that was a little early on that I really enjoyed was the K Tronada set. I
Okay.
actually saw him back in Something in the Water 2019.
Okay.
He performed there. That was the first time I ever saw him live. Pretty early on to my acknowledgement of his work and getting to see him again.
Mm-hmm.
He killed it. You know, his DJ set was crazy. He has a handful of like pretty um, big songs that have come out in the past few years
Mm-hmm.
or produced for or been featured on. So that was a great set. And then one of the ones that, you know, he is top five for me. Don't know exactly what number I might put him in, maybe three at this point. But getting to see Lil Wayne live was great. You know, another situation where I knew every single lyric for
Yeah.
every song that he performed. It's actually my second time seeing him live because I went to the Drake versus Lil Wayne concert many years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a standout for me. Did you have any particular artists Saturday that stood out for you?
I missed the K Tronada set. I did see the Wayne set.
Mm,
Wayne definitely there was just an energy in the crowd of fandom doesn't even really do it justice. We all wanted to see Wayne, and Wayne had a certain I had never seen him live. He
mm,
had a certain air of royalty
mm.
while also having an air of gratitude and humility, which
Right.
I appreciated. I mean, it was to the point that he has so many songs that are certified classics. You talk about a 20, he has a 40 or 50 to the
Mm.
point where he couldn't even go past one verse of most songs. I think that just speaks to his level of legacy, his level of legend. And I'm really glad we got to
Yeah.
catch him and thinking about our 1.5 days. Another group
Mm.
that I want to shout out, at least give them a few words, are the Jonas Brothers.
Mm. Yeah.
I didn't realize just how many hits the Jonas Brothers have even to this day. I knew that they were big as we were growing up, as we were kids, the Disney Channel era. But for them to still be putting out songs individually and less of a collective effort, I think that's super impressive and speaks to their own success. You know, most child actors or child stars kind of grow up and flame out and they're chasing clout or chasing stardom for the rest of their life. But for them
Hmm.
to have had that success and still on their own stand as artists individually, I think that's really impressive.
I agree. I didn't. I was unfortunately unable to catch that one, but that would have been really cool to see. So they did play like the childhood stuff in addition to the newer stuff, or
They only had about 20, 25 minute set. So
okay.
they didn't have enough time to give us, I don't know, many more songs than what they did play.
Mm.
So they did the songs I think we all wanted to hear. But then they also sprinkled in some of their newest stuff, Cake by the Ocean. Woo!
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was one of them.
that was
So
that's from Dance, the Joe Jonas group. That's right.
yeah. So it was all a good time. They definitely did their thing.
That's dope. And then we have the big set. Well, the the host of the creator of Something in the Water. Pharrell and Friends. Pharrell bringing out his group of people to perform with during that set.
Mm-hmm.
You had ASAP Rocky, you had Busta Rhymes, MIA. Who am I forgetting? Coil Ray came out for a song.
She did. But he also brought out, Puff Daddy,
That's right.
also
Yeah,
known as
Diddy.
Puffy, also known as Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, also known as Love.
Finna get loose. That's right.
So that was
Yeah,
cool. That was a really cool, Friends moment. He also brought out Virginia's very own Chris Brown.
that's right. Yeah, that was the special guest, the one they couldn't announce yet. That's
Very
right.
nice cap of the night. And I think it was cool to see some VA legends come back and rep for the VA.
I completely agree. That was a good time.
I know we both want to talk about one of the biggest sets. Some may say one of the most controversial sets on Saturday. And that was none other than Lil Yachty's performance. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So again, this is a situation where I didn't see the full set. I was there towards the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I do remember how he opened it up.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like with the Kid Cudi set, I can't say if he did end up like actually playing some of the hits, because the only part that I saw was the stuff that wasn't the hits, the things that I wouldn't know the lyrics to. So I definitely want to hear what you thought of it.
So I saw the beginning, the middle, and end.
Mm,
And I thought that this was part of Yachty's rebrand. And
okay,
an album that we both want to talk about is Let's Start Here,
right.
Yachty's 2023 newest album. And it was clear that I think he's trying to rebrand himself away from the, pretty much college age parties, cold like Minnesota, cold like. He wants some real artistry. And personally, I really enjoyed it. I
Okay.
really enjoyed the album for its musicality, and we can get into that a little bit more. But in thinking about this performance, he definitely leaned all the way into the Let's Start Here. He
Mm,
spent, I think his performance was about 45 minutes long. He spent about 30 to 35 of it with the album. And I
wow.
thought he may only do the biggest songs from the album. I think the album's about 13 songs long. He
Mm,
did about 7 or 8 of the songs consecutively.
really?
And as you listen to the album, the songs somewhat blend into one another to a point where you
Mm,
almost can't tell which is which. But he went through the album pretty seamlessly, and I enjoyed it. He had the drummer, he had the guitars, all the instrumentalists were really crushing it as they do on the album. So to hear it sound as good in person as it does on the album is a testament to their level and their ability. But I enjoyed it. He then transitioned into some of the classics, the more party vibe. He did Cold Like Minnesota. He did Broccoli. He did the Took the Walk to Poland. And
Poland,
those,
yeah.
those songs, if you like it, you like it. But I personally enjoyed the musicality of his album set.
Okay. So yeah, I just want to ask because this has kind of been a theme of our conversation a little bit. So, it definitely seems like you enjoyed that set. But do you think that, based on you saying there was some controversy there, that this is something that should have been reserved for a festival or more so for a Lil Yachty show?
That's a really great question. And I think that in this instance, it was appropriate because I do think he is in the process of rebranding or
Mm,
in the process of saying, I am more than just this almost comedic character. I have some depth. I have some range. When I think about an artist like Kid Cudi is far beyond the prime or the core of his career. And I would say it's a
Fair.
tad too late to rebrand. And I don't think he even intended to rebrand. I think he was just doing some deep cuts.
Yeah.
Yachty, I think, is actively in the process of trying to say, I was that guy and that was cool, but this is who I want to be now. So to show you that, I'm going to show you my new album, which is nothing like that. And you're going to sit and listen to it for 30 minutes. And I don't think many people expected that,
No.
but I didn't expect him to do that much. But I did expect him to give us some album hits. And I thought it was appropriate because also I thought with this festival stage, and I thought it was also symbolic, by the way, that when he went to transition, he sent all the instrumentalists off the stage. The drummer left, the guitarist left, the pianist left, because it's a different level of artistry.
Mm,
His album stuff is very music heavy, whereas the
yeah.
other stuff is much more, boom, boom, tick, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
tick, tick, tick. So I thought it was appropriate. I'm curious, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so me personally, I mean, I understand what you're saying about, the rebrand, and that does make sense in this particular circumstance. But in general, I do have the stance of, there should be a distinction between the stuff you would play at a festival versus the stuff you would play at a concert. But, you made some really great points, so I definitely understand where you're coming from there.
I see both sides. I see both sides. But did you have any other thoughts about the album?
So, I mean, just to summarize, how I feel about it, I think it's a really interesting experimental change from Yachty. It's reminiscent of some other artists that have gone through kind of the same pattern as far as like um, previously producing more of just a traditional, not traditional, but the type of hip hop that fit the particular era that they were in, and then
Mm-hmm.
going into a different direction. And I don't think that this album is necessarily up to the standard as something that the best of like a Kendrick or a Tyler the Creator or something like that. But I can definitely see the potential in where he could go if this is, as you say, a rebrand and not just a singular outing. Like he's actually intentionally trying to dive into musicianship and artistry and creativity and go down this path. So I'm just excited to see what he does next. This is a great, bookmark to put into his book, but it's not the end of this. I want to see where else he goes with this kind of route for sure.
Really well said. I think about someone like a Tyler the Creator with Flower Boy. And personally,
Yeah.
Flower Boy wasn't much of my speed, but I think about an album that followed, like Igor, which I
Mm,
personally love. So
yeah,
if this is just the beginning of this book, as you said, I'm excited to read the chapters that come next.
I agree.
Well, speaking of next chapters, there was a movie you saw recently, right?
Yeah, it's the third installment of this franchise that a lot of people have grown to love. And it was a kind of an emotional send off for this group,
Mm,
as the director is no longer going to be making these movies anymore.
okay.
So, yeah, James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 just released recently. And judging from the trailers, everyone knew that, it was going to be an emotional punch to the gut. There was going to
Hmm.
be a lot of depth, a lot of characterization. We were going to see the dynamics of these people that we've grown to love over these past few movies, and it did not disappoint. This is the greatest film that we've gotten, well, for me, since Black Panther 2. But if
Greatest
you
Marvel film.
yeah, if you take Black Panther 2 out, it's been a lot of like okay to kind of good, and this is bringing us back on track to what the MCU could be. So
That's powerful.
I appreciate what he did for this film. I appreciate the emotional weight. You could feel it in your stomach and chest at the end of the film. Not going to spoil anything. It still has that MCU humor sprinkled in, but I definitely still think that this is a step up from a lot of what we've seen previously. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay, wow. I actually haven't seen the last couple Guardian of the Galaxy movies, but that's super high praise. I personally have been in a similar boat as you with somewhat of a disappointment of the trends the MCU has shown. So I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll definitely recommend this to people who might have lost faith in MCU. You know, there's still hope there.
Okay. Well, really well said. And with that, I believe that there's one final order of business to be done. And that's this week's blast from the past, Ray. Kick it off.
Yeah, I'll give a brief explanation of this film. It's called Bicycle Thieves. Came
Nice.
out back in 1948. It's an Italian film. I actually first saw it in one of my film classes,
Okay.
and I loved it. I think it's a great story. It's a morality tale. It's essentially basically you have this man who's lower class. He needs a bicycle to do his job, and then one day his bicycle gets stolen, and he doesn't know what to do. He's going to lose his job. He has a son that he has to take care of. So you kind of see him spiraling, trying to figure out what to do, because his means of living is gone, and it weighs on him, and the actions that take place as a consequence of this. It just it shows what one bad day can change your whole trajectory of your life. So the themes of this film are great. It's well paced. It's a succinct and poignant story, and I think that it's a film that definitely holds up today. And I would recommend anyone to watch it as a classic cinema film for the ages.
Okay. And this is Bicycle Thieves, an Italian
Bicycle
film.
Thieves.
In Italian?
Yes, it is. It's a foreign
Mm,
language one.
in
Yeah.
Italian. Parli italiano?
That's all you.
No, but I think that's great. I'm excited to check it out. And with that sound, it's about that time for us to sign off for another episode of the Media Maestros pod. We thank you all for joining us. We thank you for your listens, for your views. Until next time, peace.
See ya.